Yeah, I think we're live now. Yeah, cool. So, hello everyone, welcome to the first round of DPL 3.0. First of all, I would like to thank all of our seniors for their efforts. Without them, we would not be able to pull this off. Really grateful for their help throughout the event. With that, myself Aditya, no preferred gender pronouns. With me on panel, I have Ravia. Ravia, if you want to do a quick introduction.
Hi everyone. I am Ravi, and I'll be a panelist for you guys. And yeah, my preferred pronouns are he, him, and you could just refer to me as Ravi as well if you don't really want to address by pronouns. And yeah, let's have a good, clean debate. And yeah, good luck. Just be respectful and let's get going.
Cool. With that done, as you all know, the theme for today was sports. The motion reads as follows. This house believes that Indian cricket team should pull out of ICC events and Asia Cup. With that, opening government to start the case. Here.
Yeah. So, audible first of all?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
audible. Also, a note to speaker if sorry. Also, a note to speaker if you guys can keep your own timer, it would be a huge help because I can't share my screen and take people in out at the same time. So it would be a great help if you can keep your own timer. Thank you.
Okay. I am Mustafa Kanani. I will be going as the opening government first speaker. So, I'll start my speech. My gender pronouns are he and him, and I'll start my speech with a self count of three, two, one, start. So first of all, what this motion says is this House believes that the Indian cricket team (ICT) should pull out of ICC events and the Asia Cup. First of all, let me clear what this word "pull out" what this means in our case. Pull out means we are temporarily backing out of these ACC and ICC events because of the current scenarios going on with the country, the cross-border terrorism, and the relations between India and Pakistan, and the current situation, which is not going in well with the country and its security. So, as I mentioned, pulling out is a purely temporary basis, not for permanent basis. So, I will move on. Like, why backing out of BCCI is supported in this motion. First of all, let us understand BCCI. BCCI is the Board of Cricket Control of India. It leads to major funding of the International Cricket Council. One of the major cash flow, major economy holder is this BCCI, our Indian Council. It leads to fund by participating in this cricket tournaments. What indirectly happens is, for example, there are nations like, as I mentioned, uh, of which like India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, we don't have good relations with. Like terrorism is being practiced, security is and under uh, attack. So through this participation, what actually happens is indirect flow of cash or economy goes through the cricket for these nations. The nations are the Pakistan and Bangladesh. The Bangladesh also like recently are having hate crimes and hostile situations in their country, like attacking attacks on minority population, turmoil is going on, like security issues and all. And Pakistan, it is said that Bangladesh is supporting Pakistan for this terrorism attacks also. So what I mean to say is by participating or not participating, like staking, participating on high stakes on this international cricket council, what we do is indirectly we fund these nations which are based on cricket income. Like they have their main income as on this cricket, as the majority viewership and the income is from the BCCI. As we know, the for India, viewership is not a problem. So backing out will not be a problem as we are politically and economically powerful itself in terms of BCCI. We are having major stakes, so we are indirectly funding this Bangladesh and Pakistan nations, which are solely based their income on this cricket uh, associations. And I would like to emphasize on the stakeholders. First of all, India is the stakeholder. Indian players. India will have negligible impact after backing out from this uh, ICC and Asia Cup, because let me clarify it. It can continue the bilateral series, the Ranji Trophy, and the IPL. And Indian players also will participate in these things. They will not be like there is no participation or something like that. They can participate in this Ranji Trophy bilateral series and that all events. And India also can, like, for just exploring reasons, they can start their own multilateral series with the nations aligned to them. Uh, Second stakeholder will be these countries, Pakistan and Bangladesh, countries which have their income, with a major set of income which is based on this cricket viewership and that all things. They will have a major impact because of this economic blackout which is happening, and people will start doing that why it is happening like this. It will be viewed as a reform, not as permanent like damage of sports. It will be as a reform, like backing out for a temporary basis. uh, okay. And other for other players, what will be the impact, like if they go to these nations for participating in sports, and there is a chance of the security harm, and like there may be security reasons are there. That's why other players will also be impacted if they participate in these countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh. So I will move on with as I said, our national interest, like the events occurred between India and Pakistan, it will not give a good impact after the things which happened like recently, like Pahalgam attack, in which the innocents were harmed. After happening of that, if we again go and play with these countries, like this country Pakistan, which like is uh, uh, claimed of being the one who conducted the terrorism. In a way, we are just playing with them, showing the sportsmanship, and shaking hands and being with them happily. And in another way, we are conducting a war. So this will make people undergo some dilemma that what they are doing actually. It will not go represent a good image. Like, so that's why backing off is for temporary basis for reform is the better option. And this house believes that we should pull out from ICC and Asia Cup as it is in terms of national interest, and we prioritize the security than participating in this, like playing a game. Prioritizing security, then playing national security, then playing a game. We are just taking this for the reform on temporary basis solely, and there will be no impact, like very negligible impact for the players of the BCCI, as they are self-sufficient economy, one of the major cricket councils in cricket, so it will not impact. And as I would like to summarize that the effect will be there on Pakistan and Bangladesh, that their aim is majorly based on this cricket councils. So the income will be like, which is indirectly used against us itself, will be stopped in a way. And they are getting worldwide recognitions also with this with playing with India, getting the viewership, and like they are getting viewership and all. Okay, so I'd like to end my speech. Thank you. Thanks.
I'd like to thank the Prime Minister for a very good speech. With that, hello, to open the case from opening up. Also, a note to speakers,
Before,
please take up POIs,
yeah, before we
make the
go
debate much
ahead,
more engaging.
while you guys are timing yourself, could you also keep the chat part open so that you can see the POIs pop up, and maybe that would give you a chance to respond back impulsively, because it becomes difficult for us to interrupt you. I
हाँ
thought to
भैया.
signal it to you, but if I would just wave my hand and suddenly if that disrupts your flow, we don't want to do that to you because it would be unfair. So just keep the chat window open as you're speaking, so that should a POI pop up, you can refer to it and respond to it accordingly. All right. Yep. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you, Bia. With that, hello.
Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Vishal. I'm the leader of opposition, and I'm going to start my speech in three, two, one. Okay, first, let's go over the stakeholders again. The stakeholders we have are ICT players, who are obviously directly affected, BCCI, the ICC at large, fans of the power, fans and public, and other ICC nations. Now, let's go into the first major point, which is the economy. Now, let's understand one thing very firmly, that India alone constitutes for 70% of viewership across all ICC events, because India is one of the largest cricket viewership countries. And now, how this is going to directly affect is, now ICC completely or more or less depends on India for viewerships, right? And this doesn't just affect ODI and T20, which are the current formats. This also affects Test, and one of the three big countries that actually play Test is India. So more or less, this also gives a hope for a format that isn't even being cared anymore. And now let's go on to the next point. My next point is how an tournament doesn't just mean to be played as a tournament, what it affects in other regions. Now, when a tournament occurs, a lot of other things also get marketed, such as tourism, jersey, betting, kids, and so many things. Now, when you completely withdraw from this tournament and your viewership is very high, your fans are obviously not going to care about to go and buy jerseys or whatever at the tournament. So this directly also affects the income of the people who are completely reliant on this, and the companies or the forums that are reliant on it. Now, next, let's get to the next part. Aspiration of fans, sentiment. In India, cricket is almost like a religion. If you're not watching cricket in India, you're almost considered as a person from a different species, because India or country players, or we don't just consider them as cricket players. We just almost believe they're on a national duty every time they go out and put our country forth. Now, what this also leads to is the players who have been raised telling that one day you're going to play at such a large stage in front of such a huge audience. And this is just not one or two people. India is also one of the countries which promote the most number of youth when it comes to talent in cricket. Now, what does this mean? It means that you're crushing a lot of dreams, almost millions of dreams of kids every day growing up to become into a sport icon. And let's talk about the Ranji Trophy and the IPL match, or the domestic cricket we are of play here. No matter what, if it's temporary or permanent, all of these factors keep factoring into the fact that whether it is played at a local level, cricket has a huge spirit going for it, and this spirit can only last as long as you're increasing the competition worldwide. Now, what happens when you just play this at Ranji Trophy and IPL levels? It just means that your competition is going to be reduced by that much. And remember, pitches play a huge point in cricket, and India is filled with more or less pitches that favor spin. Asia in general favors spin. And now, what about the pitches in England that are so strong on seam? How are you going to build pace players out there? You're removing like a huge aspect of the cricket in general. And now let's go to the next part. Like I said already, cricket in India is almost followed like a religion, right? Let me remind you of what happened after the 83 World Cup. What happened was that India gained respect. And I don't just mean respect that comes out of, like, oh no, India won a tournament, so now they recognize. No. Or then back then, or BCCI chairman couldn't get two seats when there were so many empty lots in the finals. He couldn't get two seats. India winning that World Cup didn't just mean that it put our cricket game forward. It meant that the other people started recognizing that India is a powerhouse. And let's also remember I'll take my POS after the 5th minute. Let's remember how much impact cricket has on our younger generation. Our younger generation, if I go to a certain kid right now and ask him who's your idol, there's almost like a high odds that he's gonna say Virat Kohli or Rohit or whatever. It just means that people follow India to that level, and it's not just Indian kids. people from all over the world respect and constantly go behind these icons. And it just shows how much respect and how much power India has. And let me tell you one more point. When India backed out of the Pakistan held Champions Trophy, we were pushed to South Africa. So the other countries are already grasping the fact that BCCI has this much power in by just playing the sport regularly. So what happens now? There's a power struggle once you ban completely India from going and playing an ICC tournament. And how is there going to be a difference when multinational tournaments? If you hosted or the other team, the funding is going to go back there, right? Because you're going to have to invite those countries. And even if you don't invite those countries, the point is simple. BCCI leaving the whole ICC community is going to lead to a huge power struggle that other countries are constantly waiting to get chime at. And now let's understand one thing. Even if if these countries back out of the IPL, or young talent that is being put in front of such a huge world stage in the IPL will also lose that fact. How are we not considering this? We're not just talking about uh, country stage here. We're talking about the whole world stage. They can do this, obviously. And now there are only few players who get permanent seats in their ICC tournaments. There are other players who keep getting switched. We are going to lose. The young talent is going to lose their opportunities there. And let me conclude by telling a very strong point. Once when we lost at the group stage in the 2000 World Cup loss, it resulted in riots all over the countries. All over the country, players' houses were stone pelted. So much happened. And now with social media, this is just going to keep increasing to the point where it's almost like you're giving in fear of national security, you're giving a rise to a guaranteed national security, right? And parents are more inclined to support cricket at large because of the influence it has in people today. Like if I told 20 years ago I want to become a cricketer, nobody's going to support it as a career or even take it as an actual career choice. Now it's possible, and this also gives chance to other sports telling that I want to pursue football. Okay, cricket has become this point, you can become that big of a icon, so obviously you can do that. So, yeah, I want to conclude by saying India moving out of this is not the solution temporarily or permanently. Thank you, everyone.
I would like to thank the LO for a very fine speech. With that, DPM to continue the case from opening up. Here.
Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, just give me 1 minute
Sounds good.
to just gather my thoughts. Yeah. So hey everybody, my name is Kanish. No preferred genuine pronounces. POI is dictating the chats only after 5th minute. No voiceovers, please. And if possible, I am keeping my own timer. If possible, you can give me a clap at fifth or something, if possible.
I'll give you a clap on the fifth.
Cool. Thank you. By that, I want the reverse count of 3, 2, 1. So what's the motion? This house believes that Indian cricket team should pull out of ICC events at Asia Cup. Let's understand, Pranav. I guess opposition side have literally molded the motion into some other way. To be honest, let's understand what Indian cricket team should be pulled out of ICC events and Asia Cup. Why they should pull out at the first place? My previous speaker already told you why is the need of this that we need to pull out because of increasing tension between India and Pakistan, increasing tension between India and Bangladesh. Okay, let's be very clear. It's not something about that we are not getting funds, so we are not getting viewership, everything all about that. It's simply about geopolitics or international relations that we are not these neighboring countries of ours are indulge in terrorism, indulge in other various communal activities that are not beneficial to us. So as a nation, by pulling out it, that make it very, very clear, it is one of the major, we can say, major push for us to ban Pakistan or put restrictions on Pakistan or put pressure on Pakistan by not indulging with them in terms of cricket. Now, impacting everything, how it will happen, how everything will happen. Coming to a point, as my opposition already mentioned, they already mentioned that India holds 70% of shares in ICC, or one of the major funders of ICC. My previous speaker also mentioned. Now, by pulling out what we are creating, what atmosphere we are creating, look, ICC is already quite dependent on viewership and funding from India, as everyone agreed upon in this house. By putting out what we are doing, because look, uh, you can simply say that why we should pull out. We can have them in same pool, or we can have a different pool also. Now, look, but what happens when we give our participation? ICC also knows that India-Pakistan game garners lot of viewership and everything. A lot of broadcasting happens. A lot of money comes from here. So they deliberately put India-Pakistan in same pool every time so that they can get viewership, they can get money out of it. So when you say if we can put them in different groups, it's quite difficult to be honest, because ICC also know they are one of the major funders, and it is one of the major highlights of the world that India-Pakistan is playing at the world front. But at the first place, what impact or what help is does to Pakistan when they come to this type of tournaments or everything, or even Bangladesh, it does the image washing. To be honest, when they tend to host Champions Trophy or when they does different things, it how image washing to be honest happens here, because now you they are diverging the issues of terrorism, diverging the issue of communal harmony, communal rights, everything, by playing cricket here. When our cricketers indulge with them in playing cricket and everything, as the sportsmanship, we have to play with them, as we are in the same pool. Now we have to shake hands with them, we have to hug them, we have to talk with them. What message it gives to the people in our country, or the martyrs or the army men who died for us, or the family of the army men? It's simple, because we are on a diplomatic front, we are pushing Pakistan to every front, or pushing Bangladesh to every front. But here we play cricket with them, hug with them, or a handshake with them, everything, or to talk with them with a lighter tone, everything. So it creates a little bit of a disruption image that what we are actually going to create, and at the end of the day, it harms us only, because as a nation, it do not give a good message to our people who are actually fighting at the borders and everything. Secondly, coming to point of how Pakistan or Bangladesh get benefited by playing in all these tournaments at the first place. I already told they get global recognition, as they cricket is one of the major things that they are dependent upon. My previous already mentioned. And when they play India, they get viewership, they get economy. The money also get to them when they play us, or when they play all these tournaments. So again, by having them in all these tournaments, we're actually helping them, or funding them in doing all those things, that all those bad things that they are doing. So now what actually creates when we back out at the first place? Look, when we back out, at my previous speaker told, we had negligible impact at the first place. Okay, we already mentioned we are not backing out permanently. It's temporary. How much temporary? Temporary until ICC takes any action against Pakistan and actually bans them from playing cricket at the first place, because we have proven links of terrorism against Bangladesh and Pakistan and all those things. Unless they bans them or put more of a bigger restrictions on them, we are not playing. We are not going to play into ICC events in Asia Cup, because at the end of the day, it helps them only. How it will not impact us at the first place? Because look, we all the violent, as every people considered out here, we already know that India is a in cricket is a monopoly at the first place. So every other country also knows this stuff. So they also know that if India is not participating, we will not get viewership, we will not get money. So they will also try to, okay, so we will not play. They can play bilateral series with India, so they have no harm. Even in bilateral series, they get a lot of revenue. One example is, recently we played a series with West Indies, and the reports came that West Indies have 80 to 90% jump in revenue when they played India after so much of years. So again, it's just not about ICC, it's about putting pressure on Pakistan and Bangladesh, and putting pressure on ICC to actually ban them. Is one of our diplomatic is one of our diplomatic it is one of our diplomatic moves to actually put pressure on Pakistan to not indulge in all those things. And as Pakistan and Bangladesh cricket is one of the biggest source of entertainment and everything, it will actually impact them on a whole. So obviously, I have put you the economic reasons how it will actually affect, and how BCCI is a major stakeholder at the first place, and by broadcasting revenue and giving funds to ICC, everything. So it will on a whole, it will actually impact Pakistan on a bigger front, to be honest, and one of the major fronts that we are trying to portray by cricket. And coming to some rebuttals that they give, that about, yeah, we have power struggle, everything out of that stuff. It's at the first place, it's not going to happen again. We already mentioned it's temporary, and ICC will have to do something, because they also know they are dependent on India. And all these points of cricket gaining respect, idols growing, everything. Look, currently in India, a 1983 situation was quite different, to be honest. In present status quo, cricket has been on a very different level in India. We all know how cricket has grown in India. So point of that, yeah, people take inspiration, everything. They will still do. It's not about ICC event and everything. And one of the major thing is, anything do not comes in front of national interest at the first place. Players can still play World Cup. Player can still play everything out of some time. After some time, his situation gets to normalcy. So it's not about they can't fulfill their dreams or can't fulfill their everything. They can still play competitive teams like Australia, England in bilateral series and everything. It's just that we have to put pressure on Pakistan and Bangladesh by, and cricket is one of the major shows that by which we can do that at the first place. And coming to the points of players and fans, they also know how in a country the situation is boiling. So they will also support that, yeah, we should not, because they also get disheartened when we shake hands and hugs all Pakistan and Bangladesh players. By that, I'm going to ask my guest. Thank you.
I would like to thank the DPM for a very fine speech. With that, I'll have to continue the case from opening up. Here.
Just give me 10 to 20 seconds. I'll revise my notes and come back.
Also, let us know if you want a clap at any point of time. I will point you out that.
Okay. Am I audible? Great. Rohan going as DLO, preferred gender pronounce he/him. I'll start my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Okay, panel, let's understand and panel that we have seen scenarios like in past where India as a 70% contributor to the ICC has been a powerhouse, and how he has been quite influential to the ICC. Understand, when there was Champions Trophy in between India and Pakistan, it was shifted to Dubai because India wanted it to do so, because they don't want the match to be in the Pakistan. Okay, understand, when we see this kind of scenario, when let's take an example of geopolitics panel, understand when this kind of scenario occurs, when we see America being a solo power or solo superpower, we see other countries coming up and discussing about it, because it's a huge problem that only solo or unipolar world exists, and it causes a huge problem because it sort of creates an anarchy that okay, one person is only ruling this place. Understand when this kind of situation has happened in past, and same sort of situation will happen, and it will show the power of India in the ICC and how much power it holds. Other people will want to, other nations will want to get that okay, the India should have less power and all, because this sort of thing happens. No one wants any one entity to have the all extreme end of the power so that they can handle the whole things and all. Understand what will happen next thing can happen that when you create IPL is such a big huge economy in India, and a lot of economy is gained. Other countries can back off out of IPL as a reward that okay, we don't want a single entity to have that much of power. Understand that there are other countries also. There is Australia and other extra XYZ nations also. And now when this thing happens, understand panel, when we don't send ICT players and other players in these kind of tournaments, one panel understand there are not all of the players stay stagnant in the team. Team changes year by year. Some of the players like Virat Kohli or Hardik Pandya may be stagnant for 4 years, 10 years, or 5 years. But there are some players who change every year. That particular time, that player won't get the opportunity to play at the match, and may not ever get that opportunity in the upcoming matches, and it might hamper his economic situation as well as his career also. Understand, in cricket, career in cricket has grown to an extensive stage from 83 to now. Now parents have confidence that their child can play in cricket and get a good income and all. Understandable, the confidence of their parents will go down when they see this sort of situation, that's this sort of unbalance in this career opportunity. It's such an unbalanced situation where they don't want they won't want their children to go, because they will see that okay, IPL is also happening in such a situation, and ICT is backing out, and this such a power struggle because of the politics and all. Understand, well, there are other industries like betting industries and kits, where the people, we see cricket kits getting sold much more at the time when these tournaments are getting happened, and betting platforms are having much more of a revenue, and the kits having the particular stickers of the brand. The other sector of the economy will be also hampered if we don't go through, because India is obviously 70% of the country, but and a lot of viewership comes from there. This set side of the economy will be damaged, and the people inside that economic zone will be hampered and damaged, the employees and the people who are involved in those things. Understand, panel, we have seen, as my PM came and told you about what happened in 2007 with Sachin and other players when they lost a match. It sort of tells you what sort of sentiment carries with cricket, and if their team loses, what sort of sentiment can can we accept, and to which extent they can go. And it was at a time when social media was not there. Understand, panel, when this sort of situation may come and they back out of the IC tournament, we can expect higher reach emotions in this scenario, especially in the scenario of social media. These type of slogans can go forward, and the heightened emotions. Slogans, I mean, panel, understand by slogans, I mean any narrative pushing back down that they hate narrative or the good narrative. Anything can be pushed to a higher extent, and this can go to a larger extent to multiple cities. Earlier it happened in one city, but now the emotion can penetrate to other cities and all. Understand, panel, when the government comes to me and tells me that people will be in a dilemma regarding that they are having a match also and they are having a war also. Understand, panel, we have seen this sort of emotion when India and Pakistan play a match, and what sort of emotion is there. There's a sort of emotion that they are the enemy, and they are the birthright enemy, and we need to finish them, we need to demolish them. There won't be a dilemma, but there will be an aggression that we need to more defeat the Pakistan. There will be more joy in the people, and they will expect more from the Indian teams and want them to destroy the Pakistan team and go for it. Understand, when they tell that this sort of situation is required in the war kind of situation. Earlier, multiple bilateral series have been banned between India and Pakistan, but still the war-like situation has been occurred. The terrorist situation has still occurred. It didn't put a lot of impact in this scenario or provided us such a benefit and all. But in our scenario, we are providing a larger impacts in the economic situation and in the situation where fans go violent and do such stuff. Understand, panel, when they tell that BCCI players won't be impacted. I already told you that if one series gets cancelled, it's highly likely that some of the players might not be in the other series, because this is the trend of the teams that we have seen, that a lot of players get changed in this situation. Now, understand, when they are talking about Ranji and IPL also, I already told you how it will impact, and it will impact the new generation of the cricketers also, when they are demotivated by seeing this kind of situation, that the politics also plays such a larger role while building my career in the sports and XYZ. POI, I guess. Yes, Kanish, POI first.
Yeah, it's quite normal. We already told that By banning them, we are actually putting pressure on Pakistan because we are indirectly funding them by playing with them at the all fronts. So you want national integrity over cricket? Just explain me that. You want
When we are
cricket over national integrity?
when you're talking about temporary ban, I already told you there have been bilateral matches where we have been banned, and these kind of situations still come up and happen in the current scenario. Also, we have seen this sort of situation happen. And we are talking when you're talking about funding them. As far as I know, the funding is provided if the matches are hosted in that particular Pakistan or Bangladesh. Then a lot of huge amount of funding or the economic benefit will be provided to the other team. Protected, I guess, will be provided to the particular party, but the amount of economic benefit won't be there. Now, understand. Coming back to my points, understand. But I told you that the harms in our scenario is more than where I told you the economics harms in multiple scenarios, like betting industries and the kids and the influence in the industry and the people who are going to build their career in the future in the career and the sports, that the demotivation that will happen, and the sentiment of the fans that can be enraged and can go to a larger extent when these kind of tournaments don't happen and all. And I will told you the dilemma effect that they are talking about in the PM speech, and how it will only the fans will be only enraged again that we want to defeat the Pakistan and all. There won't be a dilemma about war and this. Understand, Palak, the BCCI players will be impacted, and the bilaterals. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.
I'd like to thank the lead DLO for a very fine speech. With that, the opening house is done. Moving with the closing houses. Just bring them to the stage. Just a minute.
We'll be back in like 1 minute.
Yeah, cool. Guys, you can switch on your video and just give me an audio check. It would be great.
Hello.
Yeah. Mitla.
Just give me affirmation if I'm clearly audible and visible.
Audible. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so could you guys please, Dhruv, you're on Sunrisers and you're going as?
Government whip.
Okay, so Dhruv is the Gov Whip, and who else is on Sunrisers?
I'm there.
Nanika.
Okay, so Nayanika is the member of Gov. All right. Just give me 1 second.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
You might have to speak up a little, but yeah, you are audible. And from the Titans, we have Tanmay and Chaitanya. All right.
I hope I'm audible.
Yeah. I
His voice is
don't know who
cracking
spoke,
a
but
bit,
yes, you're
though.
audible.
Hello, Tanmay.
Pardon?
Yeah. Much better. Much better. Cool. So I think everyone is here with that. Calling on the member of government from closing we're here.
Do you need any time-based assistance like a wave or a clap? We can do
No,
that.
I'm fine. I'm having my own timer.
All right, sounds good. Please, I would request again, everybody, try to take at least one POI. Helps make the debate more interesting. And yeah, here.
Okay. So, hi, Nanika. I'll be going as member of opposition. If I'm not audible at any point of time, please let me know. And I don't have any gender pronouns. And I'll be starting my speech in self count of 3, 2, 1, start. So panel, understand over here that the opening team is correct to point out that what is the problem with if you are playing with Pakistan or Bangladesh or any other countries in which we are not having we are having a problem. But we are here to give you that what if we are not playing with these teams, and how we are there to give you a solvency side that how the problem of terrorism will be solved. Panel, we need to understand that from long time ago, from long time, from 1947, India and Pakistan was built. India and Pakistan was built, and so there were many issues that came out, that there are many issues that came up in 1987 in insurgency in Kashmir, from 2001, from 2008 Mumbai attack to 2019 Pulwama bombing. We have taken small storm steps after these, like sometime the players from Pakistan were banned, but after that they were we are not having the same we were not having ICC matches with them. But we have taken small steps, but the problem of terrorism has not been solved. So to solve this problem of terrorism, now we need to take a view and a very major step. As we all know that we are a very strong team in the cricket world, so if we are there to take these major steps, so this will affect that the few the countries like England and New Zealand, they will now pressure the Pakistan team, that they will now pressure the Pakistan country, that you should solve this problem of terrorism. Because your problem of terrorism, a few major countries are not participating in cricket, and this will affect the whole cricket. So this is how the problem of terrorism is going to be solved, by taking our small step. Even the offside can think that this is a small step, this will affect the sportsmanship or whatever they are thinking, but this can solve a problem of terrorism which we cannot solve by other measures. But even our sports person, they can solve this problem which our soldiers are trying to solve from very far long time. So if this problem can be solved by a small step, I think we should take that problem, we should take that step. The second point that we have, just a minute, the second point that we have, that what that how if we are again going to play that, if we are there to play the games after we are having some kind of attack on Pakistan, and if we are again going to take a step in playing with Pakistan, it actually weakens our posture in whole front of world. And you need to understand that if one time India is attacking the other country as Pakistan, you have done as like we are there to do a strike, air strike, and if few months after we are there to play with them and shake hands with them, as my opposition has already told, that we consider them as an icon of our country. And when the whole great sports person come and we see them as icon, and when we see them that they are shaking hands with their with our enemies, those who have killed our soldiers, it really backens our postures in whole world, that we are okay with if they come to our country, they kill our people, but few months after that we are ready to play with them. It actually dilutes that whatever we are doing, that whatever we are taking step, after few time it actually dilutes our action. The third point I'll be explaining you, the third point that I'll be explaining you is the Bangladesh point, which has already come in which has already come in this debate. But I need to understand, make you understand that at a point when Hindus were killed actually in Bangladesh, and when our players were playing because we wanted to qualify some BCCI levels, when our players were playing, the whole hatred was there in our country, that why if our people are being killed over there, and why we are still playing with those countries just for economy, it's not benefited. And the point that I'm going to explain you again is that the emotional justice. Imagine when we go and when we are giving you that because of this attack, and because of this attack we have done this we have done this with the other countries. And when we see, when the families of the and when the families of those martyrs see that again our sports person are going to play with that country, with that country sports person, when they see, imagine what condition are they going through. Imagine they feel that they have not still got the justice in our country, because they are just so involved in sports that we do not want to see that. Okay, at one time we are there to give you that, yeah, we can have any backfire whatever you are doing with us, but at the very same time we are so involved in sports that we are not there to explain that we are not that we cannot take a great step. This even loosens the whole this even make you understand that this even makes you very weak in front of whole nation, that you cannot take a very strong step. That And now coming to the rebuttals of the now coming to the rebuttals of all the points that have been told from the offside. They are telling that the sentiments of the fan will be affected. Imagine the sentiment of those people, those who have lost their brothers, those who have lost their husband. You are not considering about the sentiments of that people when people go and play with them. You are considering about the sentiments of the fans. Few fans might so be blind in the sports that they still want to see the matches, but major part of the country, that major part of the people do not want to see our people just playing with them because of sports. And the other point is that pitches play great roles. Even you need to understand that that ipl is going IPL is still going on. There are many pitches that we can play good, and there are many pitches we can play good. So why we can't play in that pitches? And the third point, I am like, people look as icons. So when their icons are not doing good, when you are not doing well, so how can you understand that? Okay, I can't take the PR. So how can you see when your icons are not doing well? You will be doing you are looking at them, you are looking at them, and your sentiments will be even hurt. And if you also told a point that about economy, and this, the economy is not only dependent upon sports. We can have alternatives for them. We can have our own sports, IPL. We can have our own country tournament. Other countries can come to our country to play, so we can have all that, and we will have that, and the economy can be boosted upon that also. By this, I would like to rest my case.
I would like to thank the member of government for a very fine speech. With that, member of op to continue the case from closing op here.
I hope I'm visible and audible.
We can hear
Just
you.
give me 20. You just give me 20 seconds. I'll just wrap up my thing.
Mm.
Think I'm audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Do you need
So
us to keep time, or are you going to keep time for yourself?
I'll keep a timer. I'll just give a clap at 5 minutes for the POIs.
Okay, at 5, you want me to give you a clap, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Sounds good. Perfect.
So, good evening, panel. My name is Tanvir Shankar. I'll be going as the member of opposition for the closing opposition, and I'll begin my speech in the self-reverse count of 3, 2, 1. So, panel, first we need to identify what are the core points in our arguments. First, we need to see that sports is a neutral ground for diplomacy and people-to-people contact. How India pulling out of all the ICC event, how it will have a large impact on both India and cricket at a large. Not only India withdrawing would punish their fans and athletes, it would punish cricket as an institution. I would like to elaborate like how India is a major player in cricket, like how India has helped smaller countries like Nepal, Afghanistan in flourishing their cricket. India pulling out of the ICC events, pulling out the money from the ICC would not only hamper India at a large, but would hamper these cricketing nations which India support to flourish their cricket. The profits of not the profits of India would get reduced if they pull out from this ICF event because there is a big profit from the broadcasting right that is gained by the Indian broadcasting side. For example, Geo Hotstar, then platforms like that, they get a lot of broadcasting money from these matches. Also, how would withdrawing from these sports would have a twisted narrative for countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh, and they would say that India is running from sports, they are afraid to play with us, and they can play a twisted narrative and spread misinformation in their country and in the world. Also, there will be a void in the cricketing world. People if India withdraws from ICC event in Asia events, as India is the major powerhouse, other countries would get a chance like Pakistan and Bangladesh would get a chance to win trophies, which will in turn impact India at a large, because we need to understand that multilateral trophies don't have much impact. In people are happy at winning ICC trophies. Like in the debate, we need to see like how like people of India were saddened after the 2023 Indian cricket team loss at the World Cup, and how they were happy in Champions Trophy win and the T20 World Cup win. So we need to understand like how ICC tournaments, how ICC trophies are cherished, like how what is the importance of that in this case. Like every player, like which players to aspires to play for India, wants to bring these trophies for their country, want to represent the country at the maximum level. So pulling out of the casino not only butchers their dream but would impact on other sports as well. If India withdraws these things from ICT, if cricket withdraws it from the global stage, other sports would also be impacted by this. People who are taking up sports as a career would be discouraged not only in cricket but other sports as well. Sports like football, javelin throw, which are gaining popularity, like they can be attacked by this narrative. Like if India pulls out of, like they can, there always be a hanging sword. Like anytime these sports can not be the Indian athletes would not be allowed to play these sports because of the geopolitical scenario. So that would impact these sports as well. Coming down to how this void would help Pakistan and Bangladesh, I would like to point out the Cold War that happened in the late 20th century. Like in 1980 Moscow Olympics, the Cold War happened and the USA boycotted it. So like USA is such a big powerhouse in Olympics, so other nations got a chance to win. So USA did not win this, and similar happened when USSR boycotted the 1984 Olympics. This is a big point that I would like to bring out. Also, Pakistan is clearly isolated in today's world, and how it fosters terrorism, every nation knows about it. So if India bring itself out of these sports where India is a major player. Like India has dominance in very few sports, like cricket being the major one of them. So if India pulls out from these sports, like it would impact India and Indian voice, because India has a lot of impact on cricket. So through this, India can pull India. Pakistan would have a chance, like they could pull that covert India as a covert country and something like that. Also, like Pakistan is such a experiencing isolation. India should also not try to bring itself into such a situation of isolation, which will cut it from being an important voice, like what I mentioned. Also, what are the long term impacts that we have? The first impact being like diplomatic impacts are there. Other Right. I think there are no POIs as of now. What impacts are there? Like long-term diplomatic impacts are there. If temporary pullouts are there, like how would India ensure that? How would ICC ensure that India would go back and again play the ICC tournaments? Also, there will be cultural alienation to the public, like India being seen as such a, like all the economy revolves around India, and India fosters this cricket. So there will be cultural alienation too. There should be India will have a global loss of power in when it pulls out from ICC events and Asia Cup events. Like these are the things that will major loss to the country. Also, I would like to bring out the point like cricket is being included in the Olympics after 128 years in the LA 2028 Olympics. And Virat Kohli, the prominent Indian player, was the face of it. So if India currently pulls out of this in the current status quo, if India pulls out from these ICC events and Olympics, I think India would have be a back foot, and cricket as a large will be at a back foot. Like if we weaponize sports, like absence would hurt us more. If India pulls out, other countries and boards will start working ourselves. The impact it will have, like small, it will weakens global tournament integrity. Even small issues will spark so much controversy. For example, like tomorrow, if it is a political disagreement, let's say it's Bangladesh or Sri Lanka, like they could justify their walkout like protected, POI is protected. So they can walk out like today I don't want to participate. So any country can leave their tournament, which will create a havoc in the ICC tournament and anything like that. See, ICC would lose control that chaos will be ensured. India becomes the reason, not the solution. So here we need to understand why we should not pull out of the ICC tournaments and how it will impact India at large. Thank you. That's all.
I would like to thank the member of our for a very fine speech. With that, Gov Whip to conclude the case from side Gov. Here.
Uh, Hi, just give me a quick affirmation if I'm clearly visible and audible to everyone.
Yeah, we can hear
Yes,
you
sir.
and see you. We're good.
Okay. Just give me a couple of seconds before I start my speech.
Okay.
Cool, cool.
Would you need a clap or a wave at any point, or are you just gonna time yourself? I can
No, I'm
time you.
gonna time my. Actually, I'll time myself. I'll just need a raise of hand at any point if I have any POIs at any point of time. I'll be happy
Okay.
to answer
If
them.
somebody types something up, I'll just raise my hand. Does that sound
Yeah,
fair?
yeah,
All
that
right.
sounds
Okay.
perfect.
Sounds good. Let's get going.
Okay, panel, government whip here. Prefer gender pronouns he, him. Starting my speech in reverse countdown of 3, 2, and 1. Well, understand the depth of the matter, as in why pulling out from this ICC tournaments at this very point of time is something which is important to us. It is something which plays a huge role, or which is something which plays a key important role in the geopolitical scenarios. Well, understand what my previous speaker have came and explained that okay, there has been certain number of problems, there have been a certain series of problems which is being created by the border sharing nations like Pakistan and Bangladesh. Understand there have been countless number of bombings, countless number of insurgency cases, which I think every institution in the world has agreed that okay, Pakistan is the reason behind it. Pakistan is the major source. Pakistan is the key factor. Pakistan is the breeding ground for these terrorism activities. But understand the depth, or understand the importance of backing out from ICC tournaments at this very stage. Understand, panel. It is This is not something which is something this is not something which is new to which is not something which is a new action which is being taken, right? We have also banned the cricketing teams from participating in any bilateral tournaments. So we have banned the Pakistani players from participating in IPL as they go unsold. Well, understand, but because these actions have not created much more deeper impact. Well, understand, I think from both of the opening benches and the fellow closing bench have agreed that BCCI has a strong hold into the cricketing nation, into the ICC. BCCI holds a strong, much more strong power in the world of sports, in a sports perspective. Well, understand why the opposition benches are afraid to weaponize this power. Well, understand, when these power, or when these strong stances can put Pakistan and countries like Bangladesh at a back foot. Well, understand the very recent scenario of Russia and Ukraine. When there was when there was an invasion from the Russian sides into Ukraine, whole of the western side and whole of the European countries and and other countries who supported Ukraine, like they clearly banned, or they asked, or they urged the Russian armed forces to move backward, and even the players were flagged under independent athlete association. Well, understand, when a cricket playing nation India has such a strong hold, well, understand, when they go and clearly explain that okay, this is something gonna ruin sports spirit, they are certain more country will back out. Well, understand, this is not going to happen. Understand the hold of BCCI, which India has in the in the cricket playing nations. Whole of the cricket playing nations shift their tables, shift their routines after IPL, because IPL is such IPL is such a strong IPL is such a strong and such a powerful tournament, such a powerful internal tournament which is created by Indian team, so that every other cricket playing nation wants to participate in, and they have to shift their own timetables, and even certain ICC tournaments are also shift. Well, understand, this is what we are talking about. Why this needs to be weaponized. Well, understand what the opposition benches have came and explained. Okay, it is okay. This would hamper sportsman spirit. Well, understand the depth of the situation, that what situation will exactly look like. Well, understand the very recent situation. We are almost on the verge of a forefront war. Imagine Indian armed forces striking midnight onto the terror camps in Pakistan, and the very next day we have an India Pakistan match where fans are clearly cheering. Okay, where fans are clearly cheering. I have a POI. I'll just take the use of loss of narrating by pulling on bundles. Well, understand, this is a very baseless argument that okay, this is not something why it's not necessary to pull out, and we can still play into different pools. Well, understand, playing in, like, you still playing or participating in that particular tournament still gives you a smaller degree of connection, that okay, things are still okay. It's not something of that much of deeper concept. Well, understand, when you go on a full-fledged pulling out from the tournament and you say that okay, I'm not going to participate with this particular nation, you send an strongest message to the whole of the world into the sports field, that okay, this country is something which I have problem with it, and I cannot tolerate any level of insurgency with this particular tournament. Even if I take their best case, okay, this is something which will hamper their aspirations, which is something which will hamper economic damages, and which will hamper cricket as an institution. Well, understand on what cost they are trading off these particular small things. Understand the depth. Okay, it is not emotionally justified to play cricket. Understand, the sports person are the representative of that particular nation. So when you go and when you shake hands with that when you go and shake hands with the players of other nation, knowing that they have been involved into the killings and the mass killing of your own fellow mates and your own innocent civilians, and you still shaking hands with those particular sports person, is will still bring will boil down the morale of your own security forces to a very deeper level. Well, understand what it actually looks like, and why it is something very much important to pull out. Understand that sports has played us sports is something which has been used to spread propaganda, or which has been used as a tool or a soft corner table to spread their narratives. Well, understand, it is not just the first time, because there have been multiple cases like the ping pong the ping pong table case, which was there between USA and China, when both of the players when both of the athletes from both of the countries nation came together and they shook hands. It actually enhanced their relation, right? In US and China, the diplomatic relations of USA and China was still will still work towards a betterment. Understand why it is something important, why pulling out is something important, and how we are better than opening government. Well, understand, the opening government just tells out you, okay, this is something major problems of these. We as an our side on the closing half, we puts an accountability, because when you pull out, it pushes the whole of the nation, whole cricket playing nations, whole uh, understand that there are multiple strong nations which play cricket, so they put an accountability factor onto Pakistan. Okay, there is something wrong with this nation, which is even preventing us from playing the nation, which is even preventing the as a spirit of cricket. So there's something which needs to be taken care of. There's something which needs to be looked after, which the whole world is not which the whole world is not looking after right now. Because when you go and play cricket or still shake hand, things are taken very lightly. Okay, it's something which is normal, it's just an act of terrorism, it's something not the particular country is being involved in. So when you go and strike out, and when you just go and boycott these ICC tournaments, it just shows that okay, there is the root cause of this problem for this particular nation, which has a very strong hold in our community, is this nation. With this, I would like to wrap up.
I would like to thank the member of Gov for a very fine speech. With that topic to conclude today's debate. Here.
Hello, just affirm me if I'm audible clearly.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, you are audible.
Cool. Okay, hello everyone. I'm Vitala Chaitanya. No preferred gender pronouns. I'm the op whip, and I'll be starting my speech in the reverse count of three, two, one, go. I'll understand. I like to target both the opening government and the closing government as the same because there was no exclusivity from the side of closing side for me to engage on. Well, understand what is the major problem that comes up with the government side. The government side comes to you and tell you just because we are having a problem with Pakistan and Bangladesh, that is just justified to boycott all the ICC events like ICC ODI World Cup, T20 World Cup, Chess Champions Trophy, uh, Test Champion, Test Championship, etc. Also Asia Cup. Is that the rivalry between the two states have been existent since 1947? Well, understand they don't tell me the exclusivity that the need of the hour after the Pahalgam attack or the cross-border terrorism that has been happening between India and Pakistan. Well, understand there was a full-fledged war between India and Pakistan in Kargil 1999, and then we banned the bilateral series. We did not ban the even when we have this leverage of 70% funding towards ICC, we can still leverage and pressurize pressurize ICC to ban Pakistan or Bangladesh essentially. Panel understand that okay, us pulling out is not a good move or a leveraging move to pressurize ICC. Okay, here's what may happen in the case in a most probable case would be that okay, we pull out. What happens next? What happens next is if the other part, if Australia assumes to take advantage of this temporary void, they'll dominate the sports. Panel understand we lose our domination, we lose the narrative war, we lose on the economic factor, etc. And they still think that this is affordable just because we have rivalries between Pakistan and Bangladesh. Panel understand the government still does not. They tell that the basic case of saying okay the basic case of saying that we can play in different pools, which is a current solution that is pushed by BCCI. Well, understand we actually threatened to boycott the Champions Trophy if it was not in a neutral venue. Well, the threatening is different, but the act of pulling it in itself is a suicidal mission because one, you're losing on narrative wars, you're losing on ICC achievements, you're losing in the domestic cricket, which Asia Cup acts as a platform for the young talent to perform. And India has invested a lot. India has invested on talent. India has invested on infrastructure for so long time. And pulling out would be a damaging move. That it would be a revamping situation for us to be exact in the precise. Okay, I also understand there is a all-out war and the loss of civilians and there's a loss of soldiers that is happening in the current scenario. But we have to understand when in the Olympics the Russian athletes were allowed to compete with a white flag. Even then, in the Olympics, they were allowed to compete. No US person said that US athlete came forward saying that or the US entity came forward saying that will not be playing against Russia. I understand the complexity. The government doesn't realize just because we are having rivalries with two nations that becomes justified to boycott around 11 nations. And what is the ratio of justified justice that the government is bringing? They ask me, do you agree that it's justified to lose dominance in a sport at the cost of civilians, soldiers, and emotions of citizens? Well, I understand these are two different topics that have been twisted in the same thread. There is no necessity that okay, we should not dominate a sports just because we are losing people. I'll understand there is a problem that is underlying with the government side, which is the suicidal mission of going all in and saying that okay, we are going to risk it all. We are going to risk the talent, everything that has been built over the years just against Pakistan and let them go win trophies. Well, this is detrimental and most suicidal mission that the government has undertaken. On the other hand, we tell you that there is a solution. There is a solution of playing in different pools. We have the leverage enough to push this narrative. We have leverage in ICC to say that even though it brings you loads and loads of revenue, we can stop this. Well, understand when India plays Pakistan, it is a symmetric revenue case. We also make money. We make more money than they make essentially. And it is not the Pakistan cricket board that gets huge amounts of money and they fund terrorism. The amount of money that Pakistan gets even after hosting Champions Trophy was a utter loss, panel. It was a utter loss. how just pulling off ICC event actually gives problem to ICT, as still we can play any country bilaterals, etc., other tournaments. Here's why the government fails to realize the importance of ICC events and ICC trophies. And there has been numerous bilaterals. Ashes is played between Australia and England, but do they think the Ashes at the same level of ODI World Cup? And the level of viewership, the scalability is insane regarding the ICC trophies. The government doesn't realize the scape of the detrimental disposition or the deterrence they are doing is to self, not to punish Pakistan or Bangladesh. And okay, in response, what if let's give them the same probability of saying, since you have pulled out from the ICC event, what if the other teams choose to pull out from IPL? How will your IPL that has been built for 2 decades will survive if the foreign players fall off this exact bunch? I'll understand. We give you the better solutions and also explain you how exactly it is damaging. We give you the angle of losing our narratives, losing our investment that has been done for a long time. Weaponization, and actually weaponization of this hurts us more essentially. And we tell you that we take out even the O because the O gives you that, okay, here's the scope of damages, exactly. But we actually give you the suicidal mission that the government has entirely taken on its shoulder by risking everything on the shoulders of ICT. While my fellow speaker comes here and tell you, it is the time when in LA Olympics, when we are going to play cricket and pulling out at such a crucial stage, do you think we will be able to dominate in the LA Olympics or win medals in the cricket, the one sport that actually India dominates? No, because we are pulling out of ICC events because cross-border terrorism. I understand it is the Pakistan that has to be punished in case of a cross-border terrorism or an attack. It's not the Pakistani cricket team, etc., etc. If you have to hurt Pakistan, hit them in their borders, not just play with the. It's like it's not playing in the whole, not playing in the ICC itself will hurt us more than actually like canceling out playing in different pools. We have an alternate solution that has been pushed out in the current scenario. The government is even not aware of the situation. Well, exactly, we would like to continue that we take all the houses because simply the government is based up. Okay, messed up their case. Thank you.
I would like to thank the op for a very fine speech. That brings us to the end of this round. Let's give us 10-15 minutes for the deliberation. We'll be back with the verdict soon. Thank you everyone for joining in. We'll be back soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Hello everyone. Hope I am audible loud and clear. If you can give me confirmation in the chat, it would be a great help. Hello, I'm audible. Think so. Yeah. Cool. So, hello everyone. Well, myself Aditya, no preferred gender pronouns. I was the chair for this round. Starting with my verdict, this is going to be a very brief one. We can do a more detail and discussions and personal feedback in a different Google Meet. I'll just give a brief summary of my verdict and justifications for the same. Let me set up my timer. With that, starting my ON. Like, for some general feedback, I think this debate was pretty much very parallel in a complete sense. Like, uh, till the member speeches of both the closing half, we get the same speech, same extension, same speeches, not that much of a new material, not much of a new extension from both the member speeches of both the houses. So this is a problem that remains. Also, also at prima facie this debate was pretty much symmetric. So that was that's why it took somewhat good amount of time to reach out to a unanimous decision. Starting with my verdict, the verdict was unanimous. Closing op takes last, closing curve takes third, opening op takes second, opening op takes first. Going again, opening curve takes first, opening op takes second, closing government takes third, closing op takes last. Hope it is clear. So starting with closing off, why closing off takes last in this debate? The problem with closing off is that till their member speeches, the majority of their case has been discussed and like fleshed out in the opening opposition speeches. Be it whether they talk about how the profitability of India will go down, or how this is going to pulling out will like de-incentivize people from opting into sports, and how participation into other sports will be discouraged, and uh, how this temporary rollout or ban is not going to work in the longer run, and this pulling out is similarly to punishing other smaller nations, and not just India, not just Pakistan and Bangladesh in and of itself. So but I still think that majority of this chunk was already discussed and fleshed out much better in the opening op itself. Now coming on to the whip speech of the closing op, right? So this entire idea of how this is going to be a suicidal mission, and how this pulling out from the ICC events and punishing these other nations, and not just India and not just Bangladesh and Pakistan, and how this entire idea of how this other countries will take up, and this entire legacy of Indian cricket will go down. But I'm not able to understand why this entire 30-40 years of legacy will just go down after pulling out from national cricket, right? India will still be playing cricket, just not in the ICC event. India will still be playing cricket with other nations, with other in other places in the world, but not just ICC event. So op needed to do a much better job to prove to me like why this entire legacy of Indian cricket will go down, and why India will lose its entire superpower in the cricket in the first place. So with that, I think with that now coming on to the closing gov, I think why closing gov loses to opening up and takes over closing up. So the closing up also suffers from the same problem, where they fail to give me a clear extension what they are bringing to this debate. They talk about how they are giving me a much more solvency on terrorism, but I think there's entire solvency on terrorism. The entire mech has already been fleshed out by the DPM when they talk about how how the optics of the entire event is not going to look good when we go ahead and like treat players, greet them, and like play with them. And on the other front, we are losing our soldiers, we are losing families, and on the other hand, we are playing them. So this entire optics is not going to look good, and how this is an injustice to the family members in the first place. Also, so yes, and why CG then takes over CO? So CO for some reason never like directly engages with CG when they never talk about how this. I think Nanka points out a very good question when she talks about how which is more important, be it national security or be it playing sports with these nations. But Sigo never like counters it. Sigo never like directly engages with this idea, and I think this remains untouched. So at that point, I think CG has like it is a very minuscule extension where they talk about how this is a this entire idea of emotional justice has to be done with this family of the people who have suffered losses due to this war. So emotional reparations has to be given to them. So, but CEO never engages with this idea, and I think this remains standing at the end of this debate. So I think at that point, CG takes over CO for us. Now coming on to OCG class, like why O takes over CG. So simple construct, like I think CG also same issue. I think CG also like never directly engages with O. CG, the entire 14 minutes of CG speech is just telling me like why it is good to pull out and why it is not good to like play with India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh because of emotional reparations and not look the optics not looking good and our stance being diluted in front of the in context of the global scenario. But they never engages with O in terms of like O questions like how this is going to how this is going to be economically not good for India, economically not good for players getting opportunities and all, and also like India already having superpower, so India can still like India can still go ahead and do these things that they want, uh, but not like bank them completely. But CG never engages with this idea. Also, like CG never engages with this idea. So I think CG case in and of itself is good, but like comparing it with OG, but there is no direct engagement between O and CG. But since so that's why I think CG places below O because they never engages with the main idea of CG of how economic downfall is not going to be that good, uh, uh, or how this is not going to reduce chances for the players in the longer end sector things. So now coming on to the opening up and opening off. So simple class, I think. So see, opening up puts forward this idea that we are calling for the temporarily banning of these nations, and we are going this is going to lead to indirect defunding of these nations, and will since cricket is a majorly played sport in this country, it generates revenue. So if you ban these countries, there will be no major revenues in the first place, and so there will be very less problematic. And secondly, this idea of like how this is going to be push the wrong optics in the front of the world, where you go ahead and play with these nations in the first place, right? So these two, like, so first I think I have a problem with the opening up because I think I have a problem with all three houses because they never question this idea of how long this temporary banning is going to last, right? Like what can in 2 months or what can go till like 6 years, but this entire optics changes when we are banning them for two months or we're banning them for six years. So you guys could have questioned this opening curve construct that what does this temporary backing look like, or till when, like, opening curve reasoning for this was that until the situation comes to a good where we will be banning these nations, but none of the house questions it. So now coming on to why O loses to opening up. So OG O, O loses to this debate because see, first O talks about how parents would be less disincentivized to like push students into sports like football and other kind of sports, but they never proved to me why this is likely going to happen. Just because see, cricket is not. It is not like cricket will not be existing in the status quo when we ban Pakistan and Bangladesh in the first place. Cricket is still going to exist. India is still going to play. So I do not get how people getting de-incentivized from pushing their children in sports like football and etc. And this entire idea of how BCCI losing its entire power in the vacuum, I think I've already discussed it pretty good enough where I talk about how like India already has a legacy of 40 years at this point, and just because of pulling out of ICC event does not mean India loses all its resources, all its superpowers. India is still going to play cricket. India is still playing other nations. India is still doing the same thing, just that we're not playing ICC. So also it puts like much more immediate pressure. I think OG talks about in detail in the talk about how this puts much more pressure in all the international community to come ahead and ask Pakistan to defund or ask Pakistan to do something with respect to terrorism in its home country. So with that, I think I would like to conclude my OA. If you have any questions or personal feedback, we can discuss it in a different Google Meet. I'll be sending the meet link soon. Thank you for joining in. All the best for the next round. Thank you guys. Bye bye. Good night.